Hallo ihr Lieben, erstmal willkommen zu Kickers Living, dein Podcast für Persönlichkeitsentwicklung, Mindfulness und Business. Ich habe heute die große Ehre, Martin Dorey aus UK zu Gast zu haben. Dieses Interview wird auf Englisch stattfinden. Das heißt, wenn dein Englisch nicht so gut ist, dann macht es nichts, dann log dich einfach bei YouTube ein. Da gibt es nämlich ganz tolle Untertitel und dann kann man sich das alles nochmal genau angucken. Okay, Martin, that was my quick intro in German. I'm not sure how good your German is.
Not very good.
Okay.
I've forgotten a lot of it. I did an exam in it when I was young, but you know, I've forgotten most of it.
Oh well, fair enough. Well, it's quite a terrible language. Actually, it's quite hard. So, okay. So today I have the pleasure and the honor to present Mr. Martin Dorey from the UK. Martin is a writer, environmental activist, author, adventurer, and camper van cook. We met at a TEDx conference in Kiel a few years ago, and I've been really inspired ever since about his activities regarding the environment, especially the simple but genius 2-minute beach clean movement, and his latest endeavors in creating awareness about the damage plastic is doing to the environment. Okay, so Martin, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what do you do exactly and how did you get into it?
So I'm a writer, is what I do for a living, and I'm a surfer, which is how I got into environmentalism because being a surfer, you're on the beach all the time, you're in the environment, you're enjoying the environment, and you can't fail to be an environmentalist if you're visiting the beach all the time and seeing how bad the plastic problem is. So my environmentalism came just from wanting to tidy up, you know, and wanting to have my playground clean and wanting to feel that I deserved the chance to go in the playground, if you like. So it just came from that, really, just from sort of, it was quite natural, and it was a long process. I remember I was talking to somebody today about seeing a spillage of plastic in the late 90s that was really bad on the beaches near where I live, and being really upset by it. So it's been a long journey and just kind of opening my eyes as I went along and going, oh, we've got to do something because it's really bad. So that's that. The writing thing, I started off as a film school, and I worked in the film industry for a long time, and then I worked in advertising as a writer, and then I went self-employed. So I brought my first book out in 2009, and I've been bringing books out ever since, and thankfully making a living out of writing, which is wonderful.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, that's what a lot of people aspire to, and not many have the chance to actually fulfill it. So that's really cool. But do you mainly surf in the UK, or do you surf all over the world?
I have surfed all over the world, but at the moment I surf mostly in the UK. I've surfed in Bali a few times, in Indonesia, and I'm a bit afraid to go back because I'm afraid of what I'll see. Because last time I went to the Indonesia was probably maybe 20 years ago, and I was seeing the beginning of the plastic problem there then. And actually, I don't know if I'd like to go back because I just think I'd find it heartbreaking. But then, and I'd want to sort of stay and clean up.
Yeah, so speaking of the cleaning up, you've invented the 2-minute beach clean. That's how I first got to know you when we did the TEDx conference a few years ago. And so how did you get into this? And well, you said it through the surfing and stuff, but when did that idea actually came to life? So you had a look, so you had a thought, okay, you want to clean the beaches, but how did you progress into actually starting a movement that's actually worldwide right now?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So in 2009, I started a not-for-profit, which was dedicated to organising beach cleans and communicating online about where beach cleans were happening. And that kind of didn't work that well. It worked, but it didn't. And we kind of got busy. And then it sort of became dormant, but we were still going to beach cleans and still doing stuff. And in that period, I was thinking about how we can kind of come up with ideas to inspire people to clean up. So one of the ideas was talking to surfers, a bottle for every wave. So if you go surfing, you repay the ocean by taking a bottle from the beach. So that was an idea that never really came about, I think, because social media hadn't become so big then, and I hadn't got into social media so much. So when we had these big storms in 2013, that kind of idea of using a hashtag or something kind of came about. And so, and basically I went to the beach and I cleaned up, and it was like, well, let's try and get other people to help, because it was really bad everywhere. So we just started using the hashtag do a 2-minute beach clean, and I posted my pictures every time I went. And it just kind of started from there.
Okay.
And we're about to hit this week. I think we're about to hit 100,000 posts on Instagram, which is just the tip of the iceberg, really.
So what's the hashtag?
So I remember when we met.
Sorry, what's the hashtag exactly? It's a 2-minute beach clean?
2-minute beach clean, yeah. So that one, yeah, I mean, we're about to hit 100,000 on Instagram this week, which is amazing. And when I did the TEDx talk with you, I think I was quite excited about it being about 8,000 or something.
Yeah.
So, so it's amazing how it's grown all the time. And we know that 100,000 is just the tip. You know, we know that there are loads of people who go to the beach and pick up and don't take pictures and don't post them and stuff. So, you know, we're sort of riding the wave of this kind of consciousness that people are into it now. They realize they have to do something, and if the 2-minute beach clean helps them do something like pick up, then that's amazing. So we're really proud of it.
Yeah, and you can be really proud of it. It's really amazing, because it's like an avalanche. I think it's like an avalanche that happened, right? So it's now.
Yeah, no, that's a good way of putting it. It really is. It started off with us, you know, it's the last year or two, it has been like, you know, it's been like an avalanche where suddenly everything's happening because suddenly everybody's interested in us. You know, we've been pushing and pushing and pushing for years, and now suddenly it's become a lot easier, which is really good, you know. And
how have you been pushing then? I mean, just by placing the hashtags and by making videos or photographs, or how have you been pushing it? How are you pushing?
Just been trying to get the word out there. We've also in 2014 we put these beach clean boards on beaches, and we trialed them for a year, and we've been that's been snowballing as well. So we started off with 8 beach clean boards here in Cornwall where I live, and now we've got 540 of them, which is amazing. And they're all around the UK and Ireland. We've got one in there's one in Portugal, there's one in Corsica, I think there's one in Greece, and we're about to start talking about taking them to the States. So it's really amazing. And we were just kind of pushing it along and making sure that we did everything we could. And now it's just sort of got its own momentum, which is great.
Yeah, it's really cool, because I've sent you some questions earlier, because my husband's from a really small town by the Baltic Sea, and they've got a massive beach there. And actually, I've been wondering, how do we get a board like that to place there as well? Because there's been this kind of movement at that beach, or at the Baltic Sea itself. There are a lot of tourists coming up. Well, the locals, they start picking up, and they're sending out, you know, posts in the Facebook groups, you know, we need to clean up, especially after like when the tourist season is there, like from April to October. So if there's a community out there that wants to actually get hold of a board, where would they go? Can they address? So
they can go. Yeah, they can go to 2minute.org. It's 2minute.org, and all the instructions on how to get boards and what to do and all that kind of stuff is on there. But there's a lady called Nikki who does all that sort of stuff. And, you know, just get in touch with Nikki, because she's great. She knows exactly what she's talking about. She can arrange for translation, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'd love to send our first one to the Baltic Sea. That would be amazing.
I'm definitely going to log on later and speak to Nikki. That's fantastic. So you've just released a new book called No More Plastic. Tell us a little bit about it.
So No More Plastic really was just the extension of the 2-minute beach clean, but instead of being about the 2-minute beach clean, we wanted to make it about how to stop doing 2-minute beach cleans. So the idea is we came up with the 2-minute solution, which is just, again, it uses the same idea that 2 minutes is nothing, you know, 2 minutes is no problem, everybody's got 2 minutes to spare, and the idea that you spend 2 minutes, for example, using a real cup instead of takeaway cup, or refilling your bottle, or, you know, taking your own straws, or using paper straws, or whatever you have to do to minimize your plastic impact. So the idea would be that it is sometimes more difficult to avoid plastic, but it's only going to be a little bit out of your day. and actually the difference that it will make will be incredible in the long run. And when you add them all up, you know, if we've got this, we have this app and we have data from it, and there are 7 items, and I can't remember exactly what they are, but there's bottles, bottle tops, straws, cutlery, pads and wipes, plastic bags and food cartons, and they make up 1/3 of beach litter. So if you were using all those items every day, if you stopped using them, effectively you and everybody else could stop 1/3 of beach litter, which is amazing. And that's the idea, that you just go upstream, stop it at source, and then stop this terrible kind of tide of plastic.
Okay, so when you're talking about wipes, and you mean like baby wipes, cosmetic wipes, to you know,
Yes,
that's also plastic, right?
yes, it is. Yeah, so a lot of most wipes, wet wipes, are plastic based. They have plastic in them to keep them together, and we find them on the beach. You know, and what they do is they just break down into fibers, and that gets in. You know, fish eat it and all that kind of stuff. It's terrible.
Well, you've been to the seal sanctuary today, you told me. So how was that? How was that experience today?
That was really good. I love going there. I went to talk to them about the effect of plastic on seals, and they basically look after seals that have been rescued, and they have last year I think they had 4 seals that were rescued because they were entangled in fishing net and rope, and this year already they've had 4 rescued because they've had, you know, rope around their necks. And they see all the problems with plastic firsthand. So I went to talk to them about that, and it was really great. I saw this seal who'd been rescued, who'd had really deep cuts around its neck, and he's doing well and will be released. So that's really exciting. So yeah, good, nice day out.
Okay, cool. But I find it really, I mean, it's horrendous, really, if you think about it, because that it's already here in Europe. Because you mentioned Indonesia before, and I used to travel a lot through India and Sri Lanka, and I remember, you know, just being in Asia. Like being on a train in India, just somewhere in the middle of the country, and you look out of the window and it's just plastic everywhere, and it's just shocking, right? Because you think, wow, this was 2 years back, and it's a random place in India, and no matter where you are, and then you fly with a plane to another place on the other side of India, you're back on another train or bus, and you look outside the window and there's more plastic again. So it's not just an epidemic of one particular place, it's all over. So, but then obviously, like, I live in Germany, and if I look around, Germany's quite conscious about the plastic situation, or at least it's quite clean in the streets, so you don't really see it as much. You know, you're not as it's not such an impact here, whereas when you go to Asia or somewhere where it's everywhere. So it's so shocking for me when you tell me now that you're based in the UK. Yeah, that's where you started the 2-minute beach clean. You went to a sanctuary today, and it's already right here. So it's not just a problem that we're facing on the other side of the world. It's pretty much already here. It's everywhere. So
it's very real.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's really real. So how do you think, do we still stand a chance to eliminate some of the problems, or?
We have to help. We have to work together. I mean, you know, it is here, and it's the Atlantic, and, you know, there was a whole load of stuff in Holland last week from a big storm from a container ship. We have to stop using so much plastic and just start to clean up. And we have to do it everywhere. And in the West, you know, in Europe, we have to help Asia, and, you know, we have to stop sending our waste to Asia. We have to stop, you know, we just have to stop. And that's it, you know. And is it possible to turn back the clock? I don't know. It seems like beach cleaning's not enough. We have to stop, because everybody has to do everything at every level. So we've all got to get over ourselves and stop having convenience food and straws from McDonald's and all this kind of stuff. We've just got to stop, because recycling may not be the answer. It's changing will be the answer. And I think the danger with the plastic problem now is that everybody comes up with these great ideas, says, oh, we've got this amazing idea to stop using plastic, but we can still have coffee, but it's not plastic. And it's like, unless it's a real mug that you can, like yours, that you can reuse, it's not an answer. If you're throwing it away, it's still being thrown away, and it still has to be dealt with. So the only thing is to have something that you can reuse time and time and time again, instead of having something and throwing it away. So we need to get rid of that disposable culture. You know, the idea that things come easy. Same with fashion. You know, we can't just have everything all the time. We have to slow down a bit. But that's the problem with the world, I think, anyway.
Okay. So yeah, that would have been my next question, to see like what kind of tips do you have, but you've already said it. So basically getting rid of a disposable culture, so really changing our awareness that plastic is actually a massive problem already here. It's not just on the other side of the world. So using real coffee cups, not using baby wipes. So what about corporations? Because I remember when your book came out, No More Plastic, I saw, obviously follow you on Instagram and Facebook, and I thought it was so ironic that your book was released and wrapped up in plastic. I remember that you were really angry about it. Well, for obvious reasons.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, Jesus, it's a book where it says no more plastic, for God's sake, and it's still wrapped up in plastic. So, I mean, what can we do as consumers to actually address these corporations apart from just boycotting the products?
Well, boycott their products, vote with our wallets, vote with our feet. Also, we've been talking to a corporate, well, not a corporation, they're not massive, but they are in the UK, a company called John Lewis. And they've come to us and they say, we're getting loads of letters about our plastic. Great, you know, that's what we have to do. They noticed, we'll notice. So it's the kind of, it's almost like, it's like the avalanche or the groundswell of people who have to, you know, if we all complain and all say, we don't want this, they will change because they're afraid they won't get our money anymore. So if we go and choose ethical brands or, for example, ethical brands and ethical shopping, they'll soon take notice because their businesses will die. And if we all work together, then that's great. And the corporations have to listen. They do have to listen, and they will, as long as enough of us make a noise.
So you think it's really worth it to like write letters or comment on, I mean, they all have Instagram and social media sites anyway, so you can post criticism online as well, I guess. So yeah, I think so.
I mean, Walkers, the crisp makers in the UK, I was reading about this yesterday. So people were protesting, because their crisp packets can't be recycled they just basically go to landfill. So lots and lots of people had just started sending them their packets back.
Good.
And just sending them in the posts, and so they've started a recycling scheme because they were getting so fed up with people sending their crisp packets back. So, and you know, this is a company that makes 11 million packets of crisps a day.
Oh my God.
And so they've started recycling them, and they've been forced by public pressure to do something positive. So it does work. It just seems like hard work doing it. You know, you just feel like you're banging your head, but they will listen, and now is the time to do it.
Okay, brilliant. So I'm gonna when I post this video online, I'm definitely going to put your links up there, and I'm just going to suggest to all the German listeners and the Austrian and Swiss listeners to send the crisp packets and everything else back to the corporations. That's a great example, actually. I think I might actually
do it.
Just start
unpacking your supermarket shopping at the till is great. You know, so we did this. Lizzie and I did this yesterday with a cabbage that was wrapped in plastic, and we just said, "Look, we give you this as a protest," and they went, "It's a protest," but you know, people noticed, and if everybody does that, then they'll get fed up with us, and they'll realise that people don't want this stuff and stop doing it. So let's do it. Let's do it. Everybody in Germany, do it now.
Yes, it's a brilliant idea, because I get fed up when I'm at the supermarket and I go to the organic vegetables, area. And all the organic vegetable is wrapped up in plastic. And I'm just like, why? You know, like, what's going on? But that's a great one. I think I'm actually going to start that at my supermarket tomorrow. So
unwrap it at the till.
Yeah, that's a good one. I can't wait to see their faces. So what does your average day...
Yeah, film it.
I will. So what does your average day look like?
The average day, it depends what's happening. I'd like to think that I go to the beach and do a beach clean every day, or surf, or do something nice. But normally, get up, have breakfast with Lizzie, and then go off and sit and work. And then if we're lucky, we get to go to the beach at some point. That's it really. And just so a lot of the work that I do is writing, obviously. So I'm on my PC. And we have a lot of people inquire about interviews for 2 Minute, and I do a lot of kind of fundraising work, talk to people about ideas. So at the moment, we're talking to Patagonia about using their old coats to turn into bags to use for beach cleans. So that's really exciting. So there's stuff going on all the time, which is really great. And most of the time, all I want to do is sit and write. But actually, I have to get on with stuff because there's just so much going on, which is great. It's really nice.
So has writing always been your passion, yeah? Or is that something that's developed over the years? Because obviously my podcast, I talk a lot. There's a lot of people listening that, want to find out what their passion is, what their calling is, how can it be of service? So, and everybody I interview, I always ask, how did you find what you wanted to do? What's your, how did you approach that? Did it just happen? Or have you always known that you wanted to be a writer, or how did that happen?
Well, I think I always knew I wanted to be a writer. So I can remember I was at film school, and they threatened to kick me out because I said that novels were better than film, because I was reading a lot of the time. And they said, well, you should go and do an English course. But I stuck with it, and I worked in the film industry. But then I kind of stopped. I was writing for myself, and just writing articles and writing for surf mags and things like that. And then I got to a period in my life where I had nothing to do. I sold a business that had failed and was just going, right, what am I going to do? And this job came up as like a junior writer in an agency, on really bad money. And I thought, I'll just do it. And I had this work that I'd sort of collected and went and worked there, and then worked my way up for 5 years. And then after 5 years there, went freelance, and I've been freelance now for 13 years.
Wow.
And it's been wonderful, and it's been amazing. So, and I'm still excited about the fact that I can write and earn money, and I can, feed me, Lizzie, and my children with the money that I earn from writing. It's wonderful, so that's really good.
It shows totally, it's like you're shining, it's something I always say in my talks as well. I say, you have to find out what makes your heart burn, right? Where you can feel like where you lose track of time. That's what you have to find. That's what your calling is. That's what you're good at normally. Because normally these are the things, the activities that we're good at is when we're kind of losing time and we're just thinking, wow, so many hours have flowed by, and it didn't feel like working, right? Isn't that what you're saying? Or
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, when I started working at this ad agency, they work you really, really hard. And one of the things that I wanted to find out if I could do it, it was like, I loved writing, and I would write in my spare time and sort of write articles and try and get them sold and all this kind of stuff. And I was never that successful. But when I got offered the job, I thought, well, okay, if I can sit from 9 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night every day and write and find something to talk about or write about or whatever, then I'll find out. And so it turns out that I can, and I still do. So and I actually love doing it. So as long as I've got something interesting to talk about, I just love sitting down, and it's just seeing something develop, like a couple of words at a time, and it turns into something. And then next thing you know, you've got a book, and that's incredible. That's really, really nice.
And were you scared when you went freelance, when you decided, okay, like I'm going to quit that job and I'm just going to go freelance? Did you have like this, like, negative talk, self-talk for a bit, or did it just happen? Did it just flow out, or how did you?
I was a bit worried about it, but then I was freelance for when I worked in the film industry, so I knew what it'd be like. I knew that you'd have really good times when it'd be really busy, but also you'd have to be prepared for bad times when it wasn't. So I just kind of thought, well, I'll just go and just do it, see what happens, and if it doesn't work, I'll go somewhere else and do something else. So it was a leap of faith, and I'm really glad that I've done it, because it's not been easy. It's you have to work really, really hard, up at 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes, awake at 3 in the morning going, oh God. So the other day I had some stuff that I needed to do, and I was worried about it, and I couldn't sleep. I got up at 4 and did a day's work, and then I got it done, and it stopped me from worrying about it, which is great. So you just do it.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, because you have to have commitment. And I think that's what a lot of people, then fail sometimes to realize that, that when you want to really pursue your dream, you have to be committed, like fully 100%, and you can't just be like, you know, half-hearted about it. You have to really, as you said, leap into it, like with a leap of faith, right? So
yeah, you've got to work hard, and it's not easy. And actually, you know, writing is, I don't know, 90% hard work. And you know, if you've got a natural affinity for it, then that's fantastic. But unless you're prepared to put in the hours, it's pointless. It's the same as anything. You know, if you're a little bit musical and you pick up a guitar, you can't expect to play it, you know, perfectly after just a couple of weeks. It takes years. Same with surfing. Same with anything. If you want to be good at something, you've got to work. So yeah, there you go. There's a message.
Okay, so talking about writing, do you already have your like a new book project in mind, or is it now you're concentrating first on promoting the normal plastic, or do you already have something that's kind of growing inside of you?
I'm hot. I've got 3 books to go at the moment. So I've got one book. So after No More Plastic, a publisher approached me and asked me to write a book for kids about plastic.
Oh, good.
So it's a book which is really nice, actually. So it's called Kids Fight Plastic: How to Be a 2-Minute Superhero. So it's still doing the 2-minute theme. So the idea is that every time you do 2 minutes doing something positive, it makes you a superhero. So that's really nice, and I'm really enjoying that. And then I'm doing a book about traveling as well. So, and then another book about traveling somewhere else. So I'm really busy.
Oh wow,
But
that sounds like it.
Yeah. It's managing it's quite interesting, but it's good.
That children book sounds really amazing, because then is there already like a due date when it's out, or is it still in the process of being written?
At the moment, I'm almost finished writing it, and it's going to be illustrated, so it'll go to an illustrator who will then, you know, make it into a really beautiful looking book for kids. So yeah, it should be good. It should be really nice. It's really nice to be asked, and it is in English, but hopefully it will be you know, translated. And No More Plastic's been translated into German, which is really good, and Vietnamese and Czech, I think.
Wow, great combination of languages. Okay, cool.
I know.
I'm definitely going to put the link, the Amazon link, underneath the YouTube video, obviously, so that people that, you know, are listening to that podcast or watching the video right now can actually log on and purchase your book and be in touch, and also follow you on Instagram and Facebook. I don't think you have a Facebook site. You have like an Instagram page, right, where people follow you with the 2-minute beach clean, or is that?
We have Facebook, 2-minute beach cleans on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram. Yeah.
Okay, can you send me the links afterwards so I can include them for people
to
follow you? Okay, so
yeah, of course, thank you.
A final round of questions for you, which I ask everybody who's on Kick-Ass Living. So first one, which person has inspired you the most so
far? Goodness me, I don't know. There are so many people. So I've got a friend who lives in France who was into green stuff right from the very beginning for like 30 years ago. So he's quite interesting. I inspire all kinds of. There's a guy here in where I live in Cornwall who picks up litter every day off the beach. He inspires me all the time. Lizzie inspires me to get off the sofa all the time. Yeah, just nobody. There's no one person really. There's no. I wouldn't say, you know, I'm inspired by, you know, I mean, David Attenborough, a lot of people will say, you know, or any great environmentalists. I'm just inspired by people doing good things all the time and just making it part of life. And I think that's what we all need to do. So, okay. Yeah, that's it. I've got out of that one, haven't I?
Yeah, very good. So, and what is do you have any favorite books or favorite talk that you can like mention so that people can have a look at it?
Oh my goodness. No, I mean, A Plastic Ocean is an amazing film. Books wise, I don't know really. I'm reading a writer called Tim Moore at the moment. He's a really brilliant English travel writer, and he writes about cycling. So I'm quite interested in reading about him. He came. I met him last year when I went to the Arctic on a trip for work. So, and he was really interesting. So I'm reading his stuff. And I just think there's a lot there's a lot of really interesting things going on with green stuff at the moment, you know, with the Plastic Planet. And I don't know, I went to a talk by Minuten are doing good stuff at the moment, lots of research. Surfers Against Sewage doing really good things. Marine Conservation Society in the UK are doing really nice stuff. So there's lots and lots of people to get into. And as soon as you tap into that, if you look at the hashtag 2 Minute Beach Clean on Instagram and you look at who's posting, then you can start to follow these other groups that are doing really interesting stuff all around the world, which is great.
Okay, cool. That's really good. So now my final question. You know, I use nakedness as a strong metaphor for vulnerability and your true essence, like in my TED talk, the power of nakedness. So many of us are so scared, about showing themselves naked or vulnerable because of what others might think about them, or they feel like, you know, vulnerable and whatever. So therefore, I've created the naked moment. So everybody I'm asking is always like, what was one of your embarrassing moments, or a failure maybe, or a moment that made you feel vulnerable, that we could celebrate now. Instead of worrying about it.
Okay, well, there's the two. One of them is a genuine naked moment. So every year I surf naked, at least once. And last year, Lizzie? Last year, Lizzie and I were surfing on this beach that we thought was deserted. And we decided we'd take our wetsuits off and go surfing naked. And just as we were kind of walking around on the beach with nothing on, a family came down this cliff path, and we had to hide behind these rocks, put our wetsuits on. Basically that was it. But the nakedness thing is really interesting, because the serious naked part is that I think a lot of adults, I don't feel like an adult. I don't feel like I deserve what I do. So, and I think it's almost like you have to realize that everything you do adds up to everything else. So I feel like I'm kind of like, there are times when I am naked, like I'm vulnerable, and like I should be exposed. That at some point someone's going to go, you don't know anything about plastic, or you don't know anything about camping, and that I'm going to be shown as a fraud, or as a kind of like, you know, that you're just someone who just decided they would do it one day. And actually you have to, that takes you back to believing in yourself, that I've worked really hard, and I've been on the beach for 30 years, and I've worked really, you know, and I look into things, and I'm interested, and I read, and actually I might feel vulnerable, but I deserve to have my voice because I've worked. I think that's it. And so it's not really a funny moment that I was exposed, although when I was cooking, the last time I was cooking for a crowd, it was a bit embarrassing because I used an ingredient that wasn't vegetarian, and I got told off for it. And that was my lack of knowledge, and so that was being quite naked. But at the same time, it's just that thing about you've got to put yourself out there, and you're going to feel vulnerable, but because you've done stuff and been there, and you know, you shouldn't feel worried about being naked, because you deserve it. And that it's yours, and you're the only person that can do that. So go for it. That's it. Is that okay? Does that sound good?
Perfect. It's such a powerful answer. Thank you so much for it, because I think a lot of people can relate to this. I mean, I can relate to this myself. You know, this imposter syndrome that we sometimes feel, especially when you're somebody who goes public now, you know, with speeches or books or blogs or whatever, and you kind of feel, why should I add my voice to this? Why should I be the expert, or the so-called expert? I always shy away when people call me an expert on authenticity or something, because I feel like, whoa, I don't know anything about it. I'm just putting myself out there. So I think that's what a lot of people that come to me say as well, that they're afraid of that they're going to be found out at some point, because somebody's going to say, you don't know nothing. So I think that was a really powerful message. And Martin, I thank you so much for being part of this podcast. I will make sure I'll put all the links underneath, and I'll tell you as soon as I post it online. I'm going to have a couple of days to edit it and, you know, make it all look nice and stuff. And then I'll put it online and I'll let you know. And I wish you all the best and luck with all your endeavors. I can't wait to read that children's book with the illustrations. I'm definitely going to get it.
Me neither.
Perfect. All right. And then say hello to Lizzie as well from my side. and let's stay in touch. Yeah, just
she says hello.
Join in.
All right. Take care of yourself. Lovely to talk to you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.